The Golden Family. Who is the happiest woman in the novel? Shakespeare said, "Tragedy is tearing beauty to pieces for you to see." The title of Zhang Henshui's The Jinfan Family makes people feel warm and wealthy, but in fact it is a history of the decline of a wealthy family that becomes increasingly bleak as you read. The decline of the Jin family is it's very like the Jia's mansion in Dream of Red Mansions, the home with bells ringing and dishes and food. It's like the building collapsed, falling onto the white ground, so clean. Although The Jinfan Family is a large and tragic novel with many characters, comparable to the Red Mansion, its time span is very short. In 1,000,000 words, it describes all the major and minor events that happened to the Jin family in about a year. It can be seen that every character in it is vivid and three-dimensional. Even an inconspicuous girl or prostitute can be written in thick and heavy writing. The tone of the whole novel is tragic. Almost all important characters end in tragedy, at least without the kind of happiness in the world. However, there is an inconspicuous woman who does not appear in many scenes. When she was still in the Jin family in the previous volume, she appeared several times. Each time she appeared, she was either related to Jin Yanxi or Jin Fengju, and she followed Jin twice. The young lady of the family went out to socialize, and thus met her true destiny, and never appeared in Zhang Henshui's paintings again. It only appears once, in the second volume, and this time it is to show her happy life. In the original work, the relationship between Zhao Lion and Liu Chunjiang is a rare smooth sailing, and lovers eventually get married. Zhao Lion is the personal maid of Wu Paifeng, the eldest mistress of the Jin family. She was trafficked since she was a child and her parents don't know who she is. Although Wu Paifeng is very kind to her, she is a servant with no family status after all. How did she turn a bad hand into a king? 1. Just because I glanced at you in the crowd, I can never forget your face again. Zhao Lian is about the same age as Qingqiu. She has a lively personality and is pretty and cute. She has been with Paifeng for many years and is well versed in the ways of life. Although she has never been to school, she knows a lot of words. She likes to read Romance of the Three Kingdoms when she is free. Books like A Dream of Red Mansions are also good at embroidery. If you are born into a good family, your talent and academic vision will be no worse than others. With these skills around her, she is naturally a bit arrogant. Yanxi always likes to manipulate her. In addition to asking her to do important things, of course, she likes to tease. Such a lovely child. Zhao Lion is what a smart woman. She neither agreed nor refused, and always maintained a vague ambiguity with the unmarried Qi. There is always an ideal. But what if it comes true? For Yu Fengju, having such a treasure in his room naturally cannot enrich others. Paifeng knew what Fengju was thinking, and Zhao Lion certainly knew it, so Fengju never let Zhao Lion show up in social situations. As for Uncle Fengju's preference, Zhao Lion neither dared to refuse nor wanted to accept it. Firstly, because the eldest mistress treats her well and doesn't want to let her down. She also knows that once she has anything with the uncle, the eldest mistress will never tolerate her. Just because she has nothing now, Paifeng plans to give her to Yanxi. Become a girl. Secondly, if you have the means to be a wife, you will never become a concubine. Being a concubine is a last resort choice when you are really desperate, and it has not reached that level yet. At present, these ambiguous relationships have not been clarified, and I have no one to entrust to my life for the time being, so I must be patient and remain unchanged in the face of changes. So wherever Zhao Lion appears in the Jin family, there are Yanxi and Fengju. This is how Zhao Lion gets along with them. No one can offend, and no one needs to pierce this layer of window paper. Everyone acquiesces to such a vague and ambiguous relationship. After being raised in a big family for so many years, she is able to read and write, and also likes to read classical novels, which is enough to show that Zhao Lion is a woman who has ideas and wants to make progress. Otherwise, how could she, a maid who had no chance to study, be able to recognize so many words, be able to calculate accounts, and read novels? I can also embroider. The key is to embroider well and not see the stitches. Although being a girl in the Jin family is not that hard and offers a lot of freedom, not everyone can learn Zhao Lion's abilities. It can be seen that she has spent a lot of effort to improve herself in private. Unless there is no chance, as long as she is given a chance, she will be the one to seize it at all costs. This opportunity did not come. A classmate of Mai Li, the 8th daughter of the Jin family, got married. Mai Li was sweet-looking and was invited by the bride to be a bridesmaid. However, Mai Li was timid and had to bring a maid to show her courage. Originally, she wanted to bring a girl named Anan. The girl said she didn't have time, so she introduced Zhao Lion. As a result, Zhao Lion went with Mai Li on behalf of the eldest wife of the Jin family, claiming to be cousins. Zhao Lion was abducted and sold to Pai Feng's family since she was a child, and later married to the Jin family with Pai Feng. In addition to Mrs. Jin, the eldest mistress of the Jin family, Pai Feng, comes forward. She is as smart as Zhao Lion. Under Pai Feng's influence, she can not only read A Dream of Red Mansions and other classics, but also learn how to communicate between people. When accompanying Mai Li as a guest at Xia's house, Zhao Lion was very generous and behaved like a young lady. Just like Pai Feng praised, we are not bragging for ourselves. The girls in our family are better than other girls. Sure enough, the intellectual and generous Zhao Lion deeply fascinated Liu Chunjiang, the young master of the Liu family. Zhao Lion got lost while looking for Mai Li, and happened to bump into Liu Chunjiang. Zhao Lion asked, "Excuse me, where is the bridesmaids' lounge?" Liu Chunjiang spotted the beautiful and fashionable Zhao Lion from a distance, and was moved by the offer. The Xia family's house is difficult to find due to twists and turns, so I am willing to lead the way myself. During the entire wedding, others were looking at the bride and groom, the best man and the bridesmaid, but Liu Chunjiang thought that meeting Zhao Lion was a strange fate, and he locked eyes with Zhao Lion from beginning to end. Liu Chunjiang used tricks to obtain Zhao Lion's mailing address, and used the excuse to invite Mai Li to Zhao Lion to watch a show, waiting for an opportunity to get close to her. When A Dream in the Garden was being sung on stage, Liu Chunjiang was thinking about the fact that the male protagonist in the play was also named Liu, and he and the female protagonist were strangers to each other, but they were married, while he and Zhao Lion had met each other and were still together through their names. Wouldn't it be easier to go to the theater and pursue Zhao Lion? When leaving the Xia family, Liu Chunjiang, whose love was uncontrollable, wrote a hot letter and handed it to Zhao Lion. "I am writing this letter to you. I know it is very presumptuous, but my admiration has defeated my fear. I can no longer stop writing this letter." Playing in the living room of the Xia Mansion auditorium on the court, I saw the lady, and I could hardly contain myself. After returning home and carefully reading the letter, Zhao Lion felt a sense of sympathy and felt that Liu Chunjiang was a handsome young man who strived for the top, but she knew that she was from a humble background, and she also knew how sentimental and ruthless a wealthy young man was. Reason told her that she should not be carried away by love, and must understand Liu Chunjiang's true thoughts. So after thinking about it, she replied a letter to Liu Chunjiang half-heartedly and half-truthfully. "Your letter was so kind. I am here to stay, just a homeless woman with no knowledge of communication. Sir, please make an appointment as a friend. I dare not reach out to you. We hope that we will respect each other and never write to you in the future to avoid any trouble. I will reply here specifically." In this letter, Zhao Lion did not truthfully explain her situation, for fear of being too direct and missing out on this good marriage. But she also expressed her truest thoughts, which was to test Liu Chunjiang's bottom line and see how far he could accept it. Zhao Lion's modest show of weakness actually inspired the man who fell in love to have a feeling of pity and cherishment. Could it be that Zhao Lion was like Lin Daiyu, who was fostered by the Jin family and was helpless? There were several passages in this letter, but Liu Chunjiang remembered the sentence "just a wandering and helpless woman," and couldn't let go of Zhao Lion. For the opportunity to sit at the same table for dinner, I asked my friend to invite 20 people to dinner. I owed him a huge favor. Such dedication was comparable to Jin Yanxi's feat when he pursued Leng Qingqiu. When Liu Chunjiang discovered Zhao Lion's true identity as a maid of the Jin family, he did not dislike her because of it, but was overjoyed. If Zhao Lion were a young lady from the Jin family, Liu Chunjiang would feel that he could not reach her. But now, Liu Chunjiang's confidence has doubled. This is thanks to the foreshadowing laid by Zhao Lion's previous reply. His current status is just a little worse than that of the host. There is not much contrast, and it is not a big deception. The bottom line that Liu Chunjiang can accept has only dropped by a small amount. Click. Zhao Lion's preemptive attack and lustful behavior made Liu Chunjiang feel that it was his own fault. It was because he was too arrogant that he put the helpless woman in this embarrassing situation. On the night when Liu Chunjiang was recognized, Liu Chunjiang chased Zhao Lion out. When he saw Liu Chunjiang, Zhao Lion was stunned at first, and then said, Mr. Liu, you already know about me. I don't need to say anything anymore. It's all your fault. I didn't do it on purpose. This preemptive remark was Zhao Lion's way of saying that I didn't deliberately lie to you in order to make friends with you, and it also showed that I had an indifferent attitude towards myself. This made Liu Chunjiang a little at a loss. He really didn't do anything. He was just too arrogant. After that, Zhao Lion even mastered playing hard to get. In just one night, she had found out Liu Chunjiang's truest thoughts. Before leaving, she didn't give Liu Chunjiang the answer he wanted, but the answer was already in Zhao Lion's heart. Playing hard to get is actually not a bad word. If used properly in love, it can have very good results and promote more emotional communication between the people. Zhao Lion used it very appropriately. And when Zhao Lion saw that Liu Chunjiang liked her, it had nothing to do with her family background, and her previous thoughts of if you knew I was a fake young lady, I'm afraid you would stay away from me had long since been put down. There is a girl who is pregnant and seduced by a good fortune. Zhao Lion, who is in the prime of his youth, meets Mr. Liu, who is striving for the top in a troubled world. How can he not be moved by his feelings? The two exchanged letters in private. In order to prevent being discovered by the Jin family, Liu Chunjiang transformed into Zhao Lion's foolish sister Chunchang in the letters. 2. Pai Feng's husband repeatedly harassed her, so Zhao Lion decided to elope. Pai Feng is reasonable and has a good personality. She often regards Zhao Lion as the sister she grew up with. In addition, Zhao Lion has a smart appearance, a kind personality, and is a good female worker. No one in the Jin family dislikes Zhao Lion. A fair lady, a gentleman is fond of being a bitch, and Zhao Lion's beauty also brings troubles to herself. Pai Feng's husband, Feng Zhu, often used excuses to get close to her, tease her with words, and win her over with small favors. Feng Zhu's purpose was to take Zhao Lion as his concubine. There was a difference between master and servant, so naturally Zhao Lion couldn't resist her master. She tried to avoid Feng Zhu and privately handed the things Feng Zhu sent to Pai Feng. Some people say that a concubine who is a Feng Zhu woman has a higher status than a maid. But the reason why Zhao Lion rejected Feng Zhu was that on the one hand, he could not betray Pai Feng, and on the other hand, he knew from the second concubine of the Jin family and Aunt Kui that the concubine's status was awkward, especially because Zhao Lion saw clearly that the young masters of the Jin family were not doing their jobs properly and were not worthy of being entrusted with them for life. Pai Feng went out to play cards and asked Zhao Lion to stay in the room to embroider. Feng Zhu pretended to go out at first, but after Pai Feng left, he returned home and praised Zhao Lion for his good embroidery. He also compared the embroidery to love flowers, teasing Zhao Lion, and started to do it. Move your feet. Zhao Lion saw Feng Zhu being aggressive, put down the embroidery needle, opened the door curtain and left the house. Pai Feng, who came back to get something, saw the two of them outside and inside a curtain, and immediately guessed 80% to 90% of the time. Pai Feng is independent at heart and advocates monogamy. She said to Zhao Lion, he Feng Zhu is nothing, so you should ignore him. Pai Feng took the initiative to talk about Zhao Lion's marriage, and she really showed her sisterly love. Pai Feng thinks that none of the servants working in the Jin mansion are worthy of Zhao Lion. The person with the highest family status outside is afraid that Zhao Lion will not be able to reach him. It is unbearable to find a businessman who, although he will be relied upon for life, does not even have the common sense to eat and dress. After much deliberation, I could only find a down-and-out scholar, give him some property, find him a job, and then marry Zhao Lion to him. But where to find this scholar? I couldn't solve it for a while. At this time, Pai Feng didn't know Liu Chunjiang's existence. Zhao Lion didn't know whether her relationship with Liu Chunjiang would succeed, so she couldn't tell Pai Feng about it. Since Feng Zhu always wants to harass her, Pai Feng also wants to marry her off. Zhao Lion decided to give it a try and elope with Liu Chunjiang. No one said goodbye. Zhao Lion left, leaving only a letter to Pai Feng. The eldest mistress signed the lottery. Zhao Lion has already been sold once and became a slave of money. She cannot be fooled again and become a slave of marriage. Regarding Zhao Lion, I wanted to find an opportunity to slowly treat the young mistress, he said. After much deliberation, the only choice is to take a step away and settle the marriage first. By then, the deal is done and no one can regret it. Zhao Lion will come back to take the blame. 3. The humble and modest Zhao Lion became the graceful and wealthy wife. The two had very different social statuses, and the Liu family's parents tried every means to stop them. Zhao Lian went abroad with Liu Chunjiang. Liu Chunjiang went to study abroad, and Zhao Lian became a family member who accompanied him to study. Before going abroad, Liu Chunjiang bought a pair of diamond rings for engagement, and each of them were won. A year later, the two lovers were accepted by the Liu family. Zhao Lian was grateful to her old master and took Liu Chunjiang back to the Jin mansion to recognize her relatives. At this time, the Jin family had declined, a large number of servants were dismissed, and the children of the Jin family planned to make their own careers and go their separate ways. At this time, when Mrs. Jin saw the graceful Zhao Lian, she sighed. In just 1 year, the children of the Jin family experienced changes in the world, but the humble girl in the past spread her wings and flew to a high branch. The son of the Jin family was not motivated, and the couple was not harmonious, but Zhao Lian and Liu Chunjiang were able to love each other, and the couple was talented and beautiful, which made others envious. Zhao Lian had such a good fate, which had a lot to do with her character and thoughtfulness. Zhao Lian went to see Mrs. Jin first. She was modest and low-key, without any lady's habits, and still treated the master and servant as master. When visiting the young master of the Jin family, Zhao Lian gave each of them a small gold lock to wear around their necks. Fearing that the rooms would have opinions, Zhao Lian visited each room again. When she met the former servants, Zhao Lian still treated them as sisters. She gave Jin Rong a piece of robe material, but fearing that he would be unwilling, she said that it was bought by Mr. Liu for him. The original novel and the plot are very different in the treatment of Leng Qingqiu and Zhao Lian. In the plot, Zhao Lian's departure was largely inspired by Qingqiu's brave pursuit of love, but in the original novel, the two had no intersection. Before Zhao Lian left, Qingqiu had not married. Zhao Lian revisited the Jin family, and Qingqiu sealed herself in a small building and did not see anyone. But in this way, Zhao Lian still prepared a small gold lock for Qingqiu's child. Zhao Lian told Mrs. Jin that she had been to other places, but the seventh young lady was staying in seclusion, so she could not be seen. Coincidentally, on the night when Zhao Lian visited to get married, Qingqiu's small building caught fire, and the fire spread and was difficult to control. Qingqiu took the opportunity to escape from the Jin family with her son. I think Qingqiu may have wanted to run away, and Zhao Lian's story was the fuse for her to run away. A maid was so bold, not to mention Leng Qingqiu, who had read books for many years and had certain ideas. Obviously, Zhao Lian and Liu Chunjiang are the only relationship in the golden age that makes people feel warmer and warmer. For women, birth is fate, marriage is luck, and marriage is a woman's second reincarnation. But Zhao Lian married into a wealthy family, but she had a good marriage, while Leng Qingqiu ended her marriage by running away. This is certainly related to meeting the wrong person, but personal factors cannot be ignored. Faced with the temptation in front of her, Zhao Lian can judge people with a cold eye. Faced with Feng Zhu's teasing, Zhao Lian realized that he was not a good man. In addition, seeing through the embarrassing situation of a concubine, Zhao Lian was determined not to be a concubine, especially not a concubine of Feng Zhu. When she had a crush on Liu Chunjiang, Zhao Lian even deliberately avoided Jin Yanxi. When you meet someone worthy of trust, dare to give it a try. After Zhao Lian eloped with Liu Chunjiang, although Runzi could not guarantee whether Liu Chunjiang would remain consistent, she admired Zhao Lian's perseverance and courage. The reason why Zhao Lian dared to run away was not because of a hot head, but because she made a marriage bet after observing Liu Chunjiang's character and ability. Get along with others without being humble or arrogant, and be respected and loved by others. Zhao Lian was born lower than Leng Qingqiu, but from the interpersonal relationships after Zhao Lian returned to the Jin family, Zhao Lian treated her superiors with modesty and caution, but treated them equally in her heart. When dealing with servants, she did not have the sense of superiority and status of a rich lady. Unlike Qingqiu, who always feels inferior and is cautious in everything, she becomes more and more uncomfortable, and is accused of being hypocritical and scheming. Zhao Lian is better than Qingqiu in one aspect, that is, she is experienced in human relations. This can be seen from the fact that she and Liu Chunjiang returned to the Jin family, which had lost power, to visit their relatives. This episode can be regarded as a classic in the whole book. She did not offend anyone from top to bottom, and no one thought that she was showing off her happiness. After so many years of being influenced by the Jin family, she can naturally see what men are like and what women should be like. From her courage to leave the Jin family, we can also know that she has thought about the path she will take in the future. Liu Chunjiang is the person she has set her sights on. Even if there are changes in the future, she will not be as miserable as Qingqiu. She is the kind of woman who can take it or leave it, and has methods. Leng Qingqiu may never learn these skills in her life, nor would she bother to learn them, but they are necessary skills for living in a complex world. Not everyone can be noble, and being moderately vulgar may not be a bad thing. Zhao Lion, a warning to women. Alright, this part of the story ends here.
Want to know what happened next? Let's listen to the breakdown next time.